Welcome to Japan and More, where we answer your questions about traveling Japan. Today's question is, what are the top 10 tips for tourists on trains in Japan?
The Japan Private Railway Association recently conducted an annual study on train and station etiquette. Of the 5,000 people that were surveyed, 63% reported feeling bothered by the behavior of foreign tourists.
So today, we're going to go over the list of things that bother people on trains and what you can do to avoid making these mistakes during your trip.
Number 10, don't eat and drink. There's no food of any kind allowed on a train. There's no drinks either. No Starbucks cups, no canned drinks. The only exception is a water bottle or a bottle that you can cap, that you can actually put a screw-on cap on.
Now, I realize that this can be a little bit confusing because there are trains that you can eat and drink on. If you're on an express train that has a tray, then it is okay to eat and drink. Just remember it by, if there's a tray, it's okay. Number 9, don't sit on the floor. It's pretty much never acceptable to sit on the floor on a train in Japan, even for kids. The floor in Japan is considered very dirty. You won't see people sitting on the floor on a train or even outside on the ground. When people do cherry blossom viewing, they'll often use a tarp to put on the ground, and then they will take their shoes off so that the tarp is clean. And then also for tatami, when you sit on the floor at restaurants or in somebody's home, there are tatami floors, and you would take your shoes off to sit on that floor. So those are clean floors that you would sit on. And if you have small children, you should take their shoes off if they're going to stand on the seats, because the shoes are considered dirty, and you don't want to have the dirty shoes on the clean seat.
Number 8, don't sit in priority seats. At the end section in every car on every train, there is priority seating. The priority seating is designated by signs and usually has a different color seat fabric or a different colored headrest. These seats are reserved for people that need them. You should not sit there if you don't qualify. To qualify, you have to be elderly, injured, pregnant, or carrying an infant. If you're not any of those, then you should not occupy those seats.
There is this idea that if you sit down, then you can offer it to a person in need. But a lot of times, a person in need is not going to even go over to the seats if they see it's full. So it's better just to leave them empty, because when somebody's getting on the train that needs it, they'll quickly glance over there. And if they see that it's all occupied, then they're just going to stand in the middle of the train. So it's better just not to sit there.
Right. On the platform, there's designations that show where the priority seating is, and they will actually line up at that door intentionally to get the priority seats. So when they get on, if they see you sitting there, they're just going to walk away. They're not going to ask you for the seat.
Number 7, don't leave trash. The trains are only cleaned at the final stations, and sometimes the subways are even cleaned less often. So it's up to the people riding the trains and the subways to make sure that they don't leave any trash behind. There are trash cans on most of the platforms for the trains and the subways. So if you do have trash, you can throw it away when you get off the train. It's also nice to just carry a plastic bag with you or your own personal bag that you use for trash, because there's not many trash cans in Japan. So if you do have trash, just collect it throughout the day, and then when you get back to your hotel, you can throw it all away.
Number 6, sit in seats properly. So man-spreading. Don't sit with your legs spread open wide. Just sit in a normal position with your legs together and your knees at a 90-degree angle. Don't leave too much space in between your friends and the other passengers. Try to get as close as possible. And don't extend your legs out when you're sitting down. So the bench seats go side to side. So when you're sitting down, don't stretch your legs out into the aisle. Don't cross your legs. Don't sit with one leg over the other. Make your body wider. Make sure that your legs aren't in the area where anyone stands so no one trips on them also.
And don't put your bags on the seats, because that takes up a space where someone can sit down. In general, on most local trains and subways, each bench can fit about 7 people, and there's usually marks or spaces to indicate where a person should sit. And so take a look at that and try to follow those indications.
Number 5, put your phones on silent mode. In Japan, it's considered quite rude to talk on the phone on a train. So you shouldn't make phone calls, you shouldn't take phone calls on a train. The only place that's actually really acceptable is on the bullet train or on express trains in the center space between the cars. And you shouldn't make phone calls or take phone calls in your seat or around other people.
And use headphones to watch any movies or TV, videos, anything like that. If you want to watch TikTok or YouTube, always have headphones. And even with headphones on, make sure that you're watching at a low volume because even the sound coming from the headphones can be too much for some local trains.
Even passive phone noise, like your phone ringing, your phone dinging from receiving text messages, even sending messages, that little swoosh sound that your phone makes when you send a message, the typing noise, the click, 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 click when you're typing, all that noise is not necessary and should be on quiet mode while you're on the train.
Really, it's just best to keep your phone on silent mode. Pretty much from the day you land until the day you depart, just put your phone on silent mode and keep it on. Number 4, form a line on the platform. When you're waiting for a train, if you look down on the platform, there are some lines to indicate where you're supposed to stand to wait for the train. I know as foreigners, we like to talk and pass the time, and often we do this clumping together. And we don't really stand in line. So this is kind of an annoyance in Japan. So if you are traveling with a group of people, just make sure that you all stand in line in a single file line to wait for the train. And it works out better that way anyway, because when the train arrives, everyone has to get off the train and they'll do that in the middle. And if you're standing there and you're blocking the way, then people aren't going to be able to get off the train. And so basically, what happens is that everyone gets off the train first, and then everyone can get on the train. And if you're standing in the proper lines, then this goes very smoothly.
Lining up is actually quite good because it indicates for strangers who come up where the line is, so they know where to stand to get in the line. If everyone's just kind of clumped up around the door area, then no one knows where to stand, and it just gets confusing, and it actually slows down the disembarkment and embarkment of the trains. Trains run on schedules. They're very timely in Japan. So this is all part of keeping the trains on time.
Number 3, don't block paths in the station. This has more to do with walking around inside the station than inside the train. Basically, when you're walking around the station, know what's going on. Be aware of your surroundings. If you're on your phone, pull over to the side. And then you can start looking something up. Because if you're walking and you're on your phone, you might bump into somebody or you might trip somebody. And you really don't want to do that. So just move over to the side. You can talk to your friends. You can surf your phone. The stations are really crowded, probably more crowded than you've ever seen. So it's best to just be aware of what's going on around you when you're walking.
And the locals aren't on vacation. They're going to work. And this is their commute. So they do this every single day. So they know where they're going and they're doing it fast. So when you're looking at your phone, walking slow or stopping and to talk to your friends or figure out what you're doing and you stop in the middle of the path, this obstructs their commute. So just step off to the side. That's all you've got to do.
And actually, when we were working at one job, we had a commute or we had to transfer at a station. We had that time down to 2 minutes.
Right.
So we had 2 minutes from the time that we got off one train until boarding the next train. And we knew that we could make it in 2 minutes if everything flowed smoothly. Number 2, be considerate with luggage. Luggage has become a major annoyance in Japan. So much so that they're now recommending that people send their luggage via a delivery service rather than take them on the trains. If you are traveling with large luggage, then don't travel during rush hour. The commuter trains during rush hour are packed. They're so packed that you may not even be able to get your luggage on. And if you do, it could be dangerous for other people standing around you because it's so crowded. Rush hour in Japan is usually between 8 and 9 a.m., but this can be just a little bit before and a little bit after. So avoid traveling with luggage during that time.
And if you're wearing a backpack, it's courteous to take that backpack off and either carry it in front of you down by your legs, or you can strap it on and put it on your front so you carry it in front of you, or you can put it up on the overhead storage, the luggage storage overhead over the seats. Don't keep it on your back because when you turn and swing, it hits other people, and it actually takes up a significant amount of room behind you, and it kind of makes it a lot more crowded than it should be.
And if you are traveling with luggage, it is best to bring a small travel size suitcase that has 4 wheels, the spinner style, because they're easier to maneuver to getting on trains and holding them on the trains.
And you can keep it closer to you.
You can keep it close to you, and make sure that you're not blocking any doorways. And keep in mind that the doors open on different sides of the train depending on the station. So you might think that you're out of the way at one stop, but then at the next stop, you might be blocking the door. So you're going to have to move.
Don't plant. Move your suitcase, move yourself. Just move out of the way so people can get on and off the train and then resettle. You don't have to stay in one spot when you're on the train.
And this brings us to number 1. Talk quietly. This is the most annoying thing that you can do in Japan, is talking too loudly. You're with a group of friends. You were talking on the platform at a normal voice, and then you got on the train and you continued to have your conversation. And that is just too loud for the train. You don't have to be silent on the train, but try to be as quiet as you would in, say, a library in the US, or maybe even in church.
Yeah, so trains are usually quite quiet in Japan. It's more of a time for relaxing and just kind of having some alone time. Japan's very crowded, so this is an opportunity for them to kind of meditate or get some quiet time. There are some exceptions. In the evenings, it might be a little louder. If there's a group of kids, like school kids on the train, that might be a little bit louder. So my recommendation is just read the room. So what's going on? If you stop talking with your friends and it's completely silent, then it's safe to assume that you were the loudest people on the train. When you're traveling in a group and you guys sit down and you're sitting across from each other, don't carry on a conversation across the aisle, or even across the aisle if you're sitting next to each other and there's an aisle running in between you. Reserve your conversations to the person sitting directly next to you.
Being considerate to others is a major part of Japanese culture, and a major part of traveling to Japan. So just be mindful of not disturbing the people around you and not inconveniencing other people. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell us your questions about traveling Japan in the comments section below. We might answer it in the next episode.
And for more information about traveling Japan, check us out at japanandmore.com. Thanks for watching.